What's going on, y'all? Nick here, coming to you with another video. So this is gonna be a music video, and as you could probably tell from the title, it's called "Understanding Musical Chords." So let me show you what chords sound like. All right. Ooh wee! Oh, perfect. I'm just checking. If you see me looking down from time to time, I'm just checking to see if the actual chords are showing up on the recording. And it seems like it is. So, you guys, I am so excited for today's lesson. And if you guys been following me for any length of time, you would know that I had not had a full piano. So I've been playing in that little baby keyboard, MIDI keyboard, and it was really hard for me to show you more complex chords, because I was just confined to a small space. But I finally got a actual pretty decent size. It's still not a full keyboard with all 82 keys, but 61 definitely allows me to do a lot more stuff. And if you probably cannot see, I have the setup behind me where you can actually see the visual keyboard on the bottom. And I'm gonna play it for you one time, and you can kind of see in that white box it says A flat. Let me play it one more time. A flat major 9, right? So you can kind of see the chords written down, as well as on the side it tells you what notes I'm actually playing on the musical staff. Now, this is awesome, especially is a great tool for people such as myself, music teachers, where you guys, I can really show you more of a visual of chords. But anyway, let's just get right into it, yeah, because y'all want to know how to play these chords, right? And my goal as any teacher is to make sure that one day you as the student surpass me. All right. Chords and as well as everything else in musical theory is extremely vast. Extremely vast. Like, I do not think you can ever truly exhaust it. But that's what makes music so great, because you're always an ever learning student, and that's beautiful. So, what is chords, guys? All right. So, if you guys remember in one of my previous videos, I was saying that music has 3 components. All right, you guys. So, there's melody, harmony, and there's rhythm. Now, we covered the melody, and the melody is playing the one note after the other. That's why I started off by teaching you guys scales. I'll just do it real quick. A simple C scale, which all of you guys should know by now. I'm going to play it for you. Is all the white keys, right? And you can see that note is highlighted. It's the blue highlighted note. It's the left of the 2 black keys, right? You can see these 2 black keys. And then you have to the left of it, that's where C starts, all right? So anyway, you have C, D, E, F, G, E, B, C. If I play one note after the other, right, that is pretty much a melody, as simple as it may sound. Now, obviously, it's up to the musician to change the rhythm of how you play these melodies. You might want to play with interesting rhythms. So it's all about creativity, guys. All right. But anyway, moving forward, then we talked about rhythm, right? And rhythm is the duration of sounds and silences. Now, duration of sound and silences, a good way I try to kind of introduce students to it is where if you notice, if I play this, now you might say, oh, well, you just played the scale going down, right? It doesn't really sound like nothing. It doesn't sound like any song you know, right? And that's the whole point. Because now I'm going to play the same exact notes, but this time around, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the rhythm, meaning that I'm going to change the duration of how I play the notes. Some notes might be longer, some notes might be shorter. And tell me if you actually recognize this song. Right? So as you probably noticed, that's Joy to the World, right? Now, I don't really care too much about the song per se, but I just really want to show you the importance of rhythm. Remember, guys, it's not what you play, but how you play. All right, rhythm is key. I did two lessons with rhythm. Mind you, it's not exhausted, right? There's a lot more to rhythm, but that's a good introductory course to rhythm. You guys should just check that out on your own. But now what we're gonna go into is harmony. Now harmony, unlike melody, harmony is playing two or more notes simultaneously. In other words, two or more notes at the same time. So rather than doing one note after the other, now you're going to start to play two or more notes. Right? So now you start to be like, oh, wow, okay, this sounds like we getting somewhere, right? So that's what this lesson is going to be covering. It's going to be covering how to actually understand how to actually make a chord. So in the beginning, I showed you a lot of complex chords, like jazz chords. You saw a lot of 9/13s, things of that sort, suspended chords in there. But just for the beginning, we're going to start off with just the regular triad. Now, triad, what triads are is playing three, as the name suggests, tri, right? So you're going to play three notes. But are we playing any three notes? No. This is musical theory, guys, right? So we're going to show you, or I'm going to show you how to actually choose three specific notes to create major and minor chords. And we're going to start going into diminished, but we're going to get into it, all right? So you might realize, okay, like how come I like, say if, for example, you wanted to learn chords from day one, how come I didn't just jump right into it? Well, this is the reason why, because fundamentally, in order for you to know how to build your chords, you got to know your scales. Oh, that scary word again, scales. A lot of people want to avoid the scales. I told you, scales got to be your best friends. You got to rinse and repeat those scales, guys. All right. But anyway, so let's get into it. So basically, we're going to do in the key of C, as we know, it's all the white keys, right? Perfect. But now, I came up with a way. This is not going to be in a textbook, but this is literally the simplest way I can break down chords for you guys. All right. So check this out. If you're trying to build a chord, first thing you need to understand is there's a word called diatonic. Now, diatonic is a fancy word in music theory, which all it means is playing all the notes within a scale. So in this example of C, I should not be playing any black keys because, like we said, all the notes within the key of C is all the white keys. So I should never be playing any notes outside of the scale. If I stick to that rule, that's what's called diatonic. All right? Now, why is that important? Because if you understand your scales, right? And you should be, especially if you're my student, because you've been doing the scales, you've been practicing the scales over and over and over until you're blue in the face. So now chords should be easy to you. Why? Because now, without looking, you should know your scales inside and out. So how do we build chords? Nick, get to the point, right? All right, cool. All you got to do is skip every other note within the scale. I'm going to say it one last time because it's literally that simple, guys. Skip every other note within the scale. All right, so what does that mean? Now, thankfully, thank the Most High for this beautiful, program. You guys get to see it, right? Now, it's going to sound a bit muddy, but there's a point I want to stress out, all right? So bear with me, all right? I'm going to play all the notes within the key of C. Right? That's all the available notes within the key of C. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to eliminate certain notes because, again, I want to play every other note. So if this was if this was 1 and this was 2 and this was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What I'm gonna do, if I'm starting off at 1, I'm gonna skip every other note. So I'm gonna skip 2, and I'm gonna go to 3. I'm gonna skip 4, and I'm gonna go to 5. And as you can see, the chord spells out C. Now in this program, if you just see C by itself, that simply means C major. Now if you look to the right, it will actually tell you in greater detail. It'll actually tell you, oh, actually no, it just says C major. All right, that's telling us the key. All right, never mind. But yes, that's a C major chord. All right, you guys, it's that simple. Now taking that same concept, skipping every other note, I'm gonna do the same thing, and I'm gonna go up the scale. So if I did 1, 3, 5, right? This time I'm gonna start at 2. Degree number 2 within the key of C would be D. And I'm gonna skip every other note within the key of C. Again, I should never be playing any black keys, guys. Never. So if I was gonna stick to that rule, being diatonic within the key, and then skipping every note within this key, skipping every other note, within the key, then I will go to 2. I will skip 3, skip degree 3 and go to 4, skip degree 5 and go to 6. And that's minor. Right? I'm going to do it again. And this time I'm going to move to degree. Notice I started at degree number 1, which was C major. Then I started at degree number 2. That's D minor. Then I'm going to go to 3 and skip every other note. That's also a minor chord. It's called E minor. Right? Then I'm going to go to skip every other note starting from degree number 4 this time. And that's F major. Then I'm going to skip every other note starting on degree number 5. And that's going to be G major. All right. Then I'm going to skip every other note starting from degree number 6. And that's going to be A minor. Then I'm going to go to degree number 7 and skip every other note. That's B diminished. Ah, okay. So we're seeing something very interesting here. And then, as you know, if we back at 8, you should have known this already, the octave. So, of course, this is going to be the same as degree number 1. We're back at C major. All right. So, that's pretty much it. That's your introduction to playing major chords within a given scale. Now, obviously, what does this mean? You guys, if you've been following me, you know you got to do this same exercise within all the 12 keys. And if you've also been following me, you know that I gave you the circle of fifths. So that's a logical way for you to approach how to practice and what scale to move on to next, right? So after you do this practice in C, then you should go to the 5th degree of C, right? Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that would be G. And if you guys remember your circle of fifths, G is indeed the second degree, the second scale, that you should be trying to learn. And G introduces that F sharp in there. So just bear in mind that if you're skipping every other note within the key of G, that instead of playing that F, there's going to be some chords where you might hit that F sharp. But we're going to get into it, all right? So back to C. I really want to stress out something here. Again, I want you to really understand why the theory is what it is, all right? I don't want you to just be mindless robots and that you just regurgitating what any teacher tells you. I want you to actually use your brain and actually understand what you're doing, all right? So let's actually analyze C. C major, triad, okay? Now, what you'll notice is that between finger number 1 and 3, or between the 1st degree and the 3rd degree, right? You'll notice that there's 3 semitones. Another name for semitones would be when we were going over half steps, when we were learning the chromatic scale, right? Right? That's the chromatic scale. So you'll notice that there's three semitones or half steps between the the first, right, and the third note. And what are those 3 degrees? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Do you guys see that? 1, 2, 3. Now between the third and the fifth, you'll notice that there's only 2 semitones, which is 1, 2, 1, 2. Right? So in other words, why is this important? This is important because what you'll start to realize is that whenever you're making a major chord, right, between the first and the third, right, notes, there should be 3 semitones. If you do not have 3 semitones, it will sound different. I'll give you a perfect example. Let's say if we went to D, the second degree, and we skipped every other note like we did earlier. Right? Now, you're probably wondering, okay, if I'm doing the same thing, I'm skipping every other note, what makes this a minor versus this where this was C major? Okay, so now I'm going to explain it to you. D minor, between the first note and the third note, you'll notice that what? Instead of 3 semitones, this time there's only 2. I'm going to go back to C major, guys. There was 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2, 3. But in D minor, there's only 1, 2. 1, 2. And then in between 3 and 5, now there's 3 semitones. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. When in C major, between 3 and 5, there was only 2. C major, there was only 1, 2. 1, 2. All right. So what's very interesting is that what you'll find out is that every triad chord that you make, if you skip 3 semitones and then you end up skipping 2 semitones. Now, earlier I said skip every other note within the scale. That's an easy way for you to be introduced to chords without you having to think about it. But if you actually want to understand why it is what it is, you'll start to appreciate it more. Like, oh, okay, between the first and the third, there's 3 semitones if it's a major chord. I'll give you a perfect example. I'm going to choose a totally random note. All right, you guys? And if this is a live, if you even want to give me a random note, you can even write it down in the chat. But I'm going to go over it anyway, right? A random note, let's say I'm going to choose A flat. Right? A flat. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create A flat major. So in order for it to work, I have to skip 3 semitones first and then skip 2 semitones next, right? So if I started at A flat, I have to skip 3 semitones. 1, 2, 3. So that's going to be my second note, right? And you can already see on the app is saying A flat major third, right? Because it's a major third. And now we're going to skip 2 semitones. 1, 2, 1, 2 to go here. And just notice I completed an A flat major, right? Now, if I wanted to turn it into A flat minor, it's literally as simple as taking this note right here, and this time I'm going to bring it down. Why? Because if I do that, now what happens? I have only 1, 2. I skip only 1, 2, and I go right here. And then between 3 and 5, there's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, right? And that's A flat minor. So it's literally that simple. So I could go right back to C major, and I could easily turn this into a minor by taking that third note, right? And then bring it down 1 semitone, 1 half step. C minor, right? And why is it a minor? Because now there's only 2 semitones in between the first and the third, right? 1, 2. So now you start to see why it is what it is. Now, The same rules apply for all the notes all the chords that we learned, right? You have C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor. Notice A minor. What happens between the first and the third? Right, 1 2, and then 1 2 3, 1 2 3. Right, same rule. It applies all the time. That's the beautiful thing about music, you guys. There's rules for a reason. Now, there's one thing I want to cover because this was the one weird chord that we found out when we got to the seventh degree in the key of C. Notice what happened. It was called B diminished. Ah, okay. So this is a bit weird. Why is it a diminished? Why isn't it a major chord or a minor chord? Okay, let's analyze it. Between the first and the third note, right? And the reason why I'm calling this third, by the way, is because remember we're skipping every other note within the scale, right? Okay, so just so I'm not confusing you, I hope I'm not confusing you. But anyway, between the first and the third, there's only two semitones. Okay, so it's starting off very similar to a minor chord, right? But notice what happens between the third and the fifth. What happened? Oh, there's only two semitones. So what you'll realize is that diminished is two minor intervals stacked upon each other. So like if I go here, this is B diminished. If I remove the fifth, what you see is B minor third. But if I do the same B minor and remove the bottom note, excuse me, which was B, you'll see it's D minor third. So it's literally two minor thirds stacked upon each other. Right? All right, so that's what makes a diminished diminished. Again, these principles will literally match every single scale that you play on. It's literally the same thing. Again, you automatically can play it if you understand your scales inside and out, and if you play it diatonically and remember what I told you. Skip every other note within the scale. Okay, I hope you guys are understanding this. Um, and I try my best really not to speak too high, because I do remember when I was going to school, the teachers made it extremely complicated, and it's really not that serious. Again, so just skip every other note. All right, you guys. Now, again, why is this important? Once we learn the chords, okay, what you realize is that, again, I'm gonna start from C, then I'm gonna play in the key of G. It's the same thing. That F sharp and then G. I'll do the same exact thing. Notice I did the F sharp, right? If I'm skipping every other note, it's not gonna be F. It's gonna be F sharp. Right? All right, cool. Now, you'll go from C to G, then you'll do the circular fifths from G, which would be D, then it'll be A, then it'll be E, and then you know the rest. I'm not gonna try to do the homework for you. You figure it out. Here's one thing I really want to stress out as well, right? And the reason why this is important is because most of you, when you're thinking about chords, like you probably thinking about you want to learn all the fancy stuff, right? Like, right? Right? Like you want to learn all the fancy chords and all the stuff that you hear in probably jazz and R&B, right? You probably hear all the time in R&B. What's that one tune? Let me see if I can actually still remember it. Um, Let me see if I can still remember it. Right? Now, if you guys probably remember that song, I believe that was Outstanding. Right? So again, you will see they have some pretty complex chords. No, I'm sorry. A flat minor nine. What does that mean? Ooh, right? All these fancy chords that you hear in all the popular songs, right? You probably want to get there. Now, again, you guys, I want you to avoid the pitfall that a lot of students run into, which is what? You're gonna go on YouTube and you're gonna just look up your favorite song, all right? Give me one quick second. All right, you're gonna learn your favorite song, and that's it. And you're gonna go from one favorite song to the next, and you're gonna rinse and repeat over and over. And when one day you're gonna realize you hit a wall. Why? Because when it comes to jamming out with other people, you probably realize like, oh man, I'm only limited to the songs that I've been learning, but I never actually learned or understood what I was doing, so I can't actually jam with other people. It's a very real thing, and it makes a lot of musicians sad, and I really want to avoid that pitfall. So this is why I'm really trying to help you actually understand. Again, understand why chords are what they are. One thing that I really want you to realize too, though, is that notice I've been talking. I'm calling out a lot of numbers. Like I'll say one, two, three, second degree, third degree, fourth degree. What is all of that? Okay, so I'm gonna go back to that term diatonic. I know I'm throwing a lot at you, but it will make sense, and I promise you, it's gonna make you much better. All right. So diatonic. Let's say, as I've said before, diatonic means every note within a scale, right? Let's go back to C. What we need to understand is that if we're playing diatonic, every note serves a purpose and has a particular degree. So if we in any key, the name of the key is degree number one. So, for example, if we in the key of C, C is degree number one, right? Every consecutive note therefore becomes degree number two, three, four. So I'll do it with you. So degree number one is C. Degree number two is D. Degree number three is E. Degree number four is F. Degree number five is G. Degree number six is A. Degree number seven, right? Degree number seven is B. And degree number eight is back to the one, right? Now, why is this important? A lot of people usually when I first start off with them, they accustomed to learning music through musical letters, which is there's nothing wrong with that, right? But when you start learning jazz, you'll start to realize that they like to communicate more so in numbers, and there's a particular reason why. I'm gonna show you real quick. All right, I'm not using my main camera, so it's not as clear as it is, but I think you'll still be able to get the point. So I want to show you guys something, right? Now, let's say if I'm jamming, right? Like, suppose I'm the keyboard player in your group, and you're here with a saxophone or your guitar or whatever instrument, right? And you're probably like, man, yo, I don't even know I don't know what key we in. I don't know or if I do know the key, I don't know what chords to play, right? Because you just came in randomly, right? So unless you have a superb ear, right? Musicians have a way to communicate with one another that's extremely efficient. I'm gonna tell you why, because again, the music is playing, right? Right? The music is already playing, and you gotta come in and you're just like, man, the chords are moving so fast, I don't really get a chance to process what's going on. So how can musicians communicate with one another in such a way that you can pick up much faster? Because with all the noise, with the crowd talking, drinking, laughing in the background. You got the musicians themselves that are pretty loud. You have the drummer banging on the drum, the saxophone player ripping and running, this guitar player, doing these riffs. I'm playing the keyboard and all this stuff, right? So you're just like, man, all this noise is going on. So how do I actually, pick up on what's being done? Okay, listen up, you guys. In the midst of me playing, would you be able to recognize this? I'm a purposely not produce any sound, and I want you to understand that it's really hard for you to read lips, right? That's the reason why people don't do it. But if I say, right? So some of you are probably like, okay, I don't understand what the hell you're saying right now. That's the point. That's the point. Now, I was saying A major 7. I was saying A major 7, right? And the thing that you don't realize is that why was I purposely not making sound? Because that's exactly how it feels like when you're in an actual professional setting, when the music, again, is loud, right? The crowd is loud, right? They laughing, they drinking, they clapping, right? So can you actually hear your fellow bandmates? No, you cannot. Okay, so a more effective way, rather than saying A major 7, right? What I can do is actually throw out numbers, because let's say it's loud and I do this instead. Right? You guys, you could look at my fingers and probably say, oh, that's 6. Oh, okay, that makes more sense. If I throw out this, oh, that's 2. Oh, that's 4. Okay, what's my point? So I want you guys to learn the numbers. Learn every degree of a scale. I'm telling you, it's going to be so important. Why? Because, again, if you're trying to come into a jam session, it's already flowing. It's all the noise is being made, and you're trying to pick up on the chord progressions. Rather than me using the letters, rather than me saying A major 7, I could just throw out numbers. So in this case, let's say we in the key of C, right? Again, it's all the white chords, right? All the white keys, excuse me. If I call out 2, then you have to ask yourself, oh, what's degree number 2, and what chord is that? Again, if we're thinking diatonically, which is all the notes within a scale, we'll know that, oh, let me skip every other note, but starting from the second degree. Now, we in the key of C, so C is going to be 1. I'm going to repeat it again. If the name of the key tells you what is degree number 1, so if we are in the key of C, C is 1. So 1, but I pulled out 2 fingers. 2. Oh, that's D. Okay, cool. And now skip every other note, but starting from D. I got it. So if the musician is holding out number 2, you'll realize, okay, he's talking about D minor. Do you see how much more efficient that is? That is totally much more efficient. So I really want you guys to grasp that. You guys, I really hope you guys really pay attention to your actual I hope you actually pay attention to the degrees. Again, I want you to understand what you're doing and not just doing it just for the sake of doing it, you guys. All right, just give me one quick second. All right, sorry about that. I really wanted to just make sure that all the sound was coming in, and it seems like it is. So that's perfect. Again, learn the number system, guys. Learn the number system. If you're finding any value in these videos, please hit that like button, because it really does help. And I hope you guys are actually getting value. I hope you're actually understanding it. Again, I'm going to do another one for you, right? If I do this, sorry, that mic is in the way, right? So I'm holding out 6 fingers. So that you got to know your scales. Mind you, How much times have I been stressing out the scales, right? Now you probably see why I've been stressing out those scales. All the students hate me because I say, man, do you know your scales? Do you know your scales? And they always hate me. Well, now you realize why I put so much emphasis on the scales, because the scales is literally the ABCs of music. It literally is the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s of music. But anyway, if I hold out 6 and we in the key of C, well, what's 6 in the key of C? Well, let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? Also, just bear in mind, right? We could do it a shorter way. If we understand that 1 is the same as 8, then we could just go down to 6, 7, 8. Either way, it's going to be A, right? It's going to be A. So now we got to ask ourselves, if I skip every other note starting from A, oh, okay, that's A minor. Is this starting to make sense now? So again, could you imagine the beautiful? I know this video is starting to be long, but this is literally how fascinating I find music. I hope you guys can see the actual joy that I'm actually feeling right now when it comes to this music. But anyway, I'm gonna give you one last caveat. The number system is so much more beneficial than the letters, right? I'm going to tell you why. Because, again, if you understand your scales, rather than me telling you all the scales, all the chords one by one, all I need you to do is know what key you're in, and then I could throw out certain numbers. And you will already know that, just in case you haven't realized it by now, that within a given scale, a major scale, right? The 1 is going to be major. 2 is going to be minor. 3 is going to be minor. 4 is going to be major. 5 is going to be major. 6 is going to be minor. 7 is going to be diminished. And we're back at 1 or 8, which is major. That formula or that principle works for every scale. So yeah, we playing in the key of C. I'm doing that because C is the easiest key to start off with, right? It's all the white keys. But if I'm saying the same 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, in a different key, not only can it help you transpose music much more efficiently, but also too, it will help you grasp the chords much more efficiently, because you always know that a 2, no matter what scale you in, always has to be minor. If this is too fast, by the way, you guys, please, you can rewind, right? Write it down on a piece of paper. All right. But the degrees never change. And that's why they have a particular function. A 1 is always going to be major. If I'm in the key of A flat, right? And I skip every other note, notice what happens, right? It's always major. I could do the same thing in the key of B, right? B. So if I start from B and skip every other note, it's always major. It's always major. So do you see why if a musician pulls out 1, he's pretty much telling you it's a major chord, starting from the degree number 1. If I hold out 2, I'm pretty much telling you it's going to be a minor chord, starting from degree number 2, etc. and etc. Right? So anyway, you guys, I hope you guys got this lesson down. All right. Again, this was just a little quick tidbit, just an approach of chords. Now, chords is extremely fun, you guys. All right. It's extremely fun. This is what I would like you to do for homework. If you can, please. Matter of fact, no, not if you can. If you're serious about this, do these chords in all 12 keys. All right. It's on YouTube. So again, it's here forever. You can watch it at your leisure, right? Whenever you're comfortable, but get it done, y'all. Cause I believe in you. You can do it. If you want to finally become the musician that you always wanted to be, you got to put in that work. But make sure, you guys, that you do all seven, and I'm saying seven because again, the eighth is back to one, right? But do all seven chords in all 12 keys using the principle that I've taught you. Skip every other note within within the scale. Within the scale. In the next video, when I come out here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over chord inversions. Right? We're gonna still be doing triads, but this time I'm gonna teach you chord inversions, and we're gonna start learning songs. All right, I know that's what you guys want. You're gonna be learning songs using the triads, and you're gonna see how beautiful triads can actually be. As simple as it is, there's a reason why it's part of music. All right. So with that being said, you guys, if you like this video, please like, subscribe. Please comment down below if there's anything that I could have done better. Maybe there was something that you didn't understand. Please write it down so that I can actually, cater to you. Because again, I'm not doing my job as a teacher if you as a student, you don't understand. All right. That's my passion. I want you guys to become better than I am. All right. I want you guys to become better than I am. But you got to put in the work. All right. So if there's any questions you guys have, please leave it down in the comments. I'm going to try doing lives like this more often too, so that please chime in on the live chat. If there's any questions you guys have, maybe there's a song request that you guys want. Right? Maybe you want to analyze a particular song. Let me know. All right. With that being said, Nick over and out. Jesus.